I hope this plan works.
Hello everyone, I'm Terry Duke, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm back with another mod video for XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last week I made a video on my favorite mods for aliens that brought new alien classes, modified some of the base game, as well as mods that added a lot more aliens in each mission. What I did say in that video was that my approach for modding the game was that of taking my favorite elements from the Long War mod while removing the elements I did not like. As such, when I mod the game, I aim for epic missions with tons of deadly aliens, but also an overpowered squad to level the playing field. And so today we're looking at the mods that affect the XCOM soldiers to make the absolute best of them. So if you enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what your favorite mods are, as I'm always on the lookout for more, and I could feature your mods in future videos. Now let's do this. Starting with the campaign mods, these are mods that don't necessarily change the soldiers themselves, but just change some of the aspects of your squad. Starting with more squad sizes. This is an absolute must the moment you add any mods that make the game more challenging. More squad sizes effectively allows you to extend your squad size from 6 soldiers to 8 by adding more upgrades in the Guerrilla Tactics school. Honestly, the moment you go from 6 soldiers to 8, you never go back. And given that with all of the DLCs, the game contains 9 soldier classes, the fact that you have 8 troops means you get to experience with almost every classes on each mission, meaning you have as much tactical variety as possible. And not to mention, it's 2 more soldiers, so obviously it's going to make each mission a lot easier. So really that should be the first mod you get no matter what. The second mod in the campaign mods is going to be recruit multiple heroes from all factions. So the heroes in the game, the Skirmisher, the Reaper, and the Templar, they're all pretty badass, but in the base game, you can only recruit one of them at a time, meaning if they die, it's only then that you get the option to recruit a new one that you have to retrain from scratch. With this mod, you basically get to recruit more than one of them, effectively ensuring that even if one of your heroes is dead or wounded, you always have a backup. And as it turns out, in my campaigns, this has become extremely useful because I bring my heroes on pretty much every mission, so whether they're tired, wounded, or in therapy, I always have a backup. That's really all this is about. And the last mod in this category is going to be twice the ability points. So as you know in the game, you can collect ability points during missions from successfully killing enemies or successfully ambushing them, and these ability points can be used to upgrade your hero troops by unlocking new skills. Basically what this mod does is it doubles the amounts of points you get each time you would normally get some, meaning you'll be able to unlock new perks a lot quicker. But really, while this mod is relatively small, it's extremely useful when you pair it with the next mod I'm going to bring up, but now we're in a new category. We're entering the mods that improve the classes themselves. And the first one is going to be the Community Promotion Screen mod. So what this mod does effectively is it takes the promotion screen from the hero classes and gives them to the soldier classes as well. So on one hand, what this means is that you don't necessarily have to choose one perk over the other, because later on you could always come back and take the second one as well. For a clear example of that, the Specialist class would typically have to choose between healing skills with the Gremlin or attack skills with the Gremlin, but thanks to this mod, you could basically take both as long as you have the ability points to unlock both. But on top of this, what this mod will do is add new skills at random to all of your classes, so you could end up with a Grenadier that gets the run and gun ability as long as you spend the ability points to unlock it. You could give the serial ability to a Ranger. The Community Promotion screen effectively makes it possible to practically unlock every single skill with all of your soldiers, which in the long run can make them seriously overpowered. But now we're gonna go in a different direction, because the next 2 mods are inspired directly by XCOM Enemy Within, and this is the Augmentations mod and the Gene mods. If there's one thing I really missed from the first XCOM games, it was the ability to genetically modify your soldiers. You could do that by either turning them into mechs, by replacing their body parts with cybernetics, or by modifying their biology with genetics. And these 2 mods, Augmentations and Gene mods, are precisely these features brought to XCOM 2. So starting with Augmentations, this adds tons of new cybernetics projects in the Proving Ground facility that allow you to recreate the limbs for your soldiers. These augmentations will come with their own benefits. For example, if you get the leg augmentations, you can give your soldiers the ability to jump over terrain, effectively allowing your soldiers to jump onto buildings, similar to the leg genetic augmentations from the first game. For the arms, you can get a claw attack that will give your unit a melee attack, or you could implement their arms with the grapple, effectively giving your troops the ability to grapple without necessarily having an armor that has that feature. Some of the torso augmentations will add more resistance to the soldier, but some of them will also passively heal the soldier back up during missions. As for the head augmentations, they usually revolve around improving the aim of the soldier or making them more resistant to psionic attacks. And if you were to completely augment a soldier from head to toe, they will unlock new perks from effectively being cyborgs. The one thing that makes this mod a little challenging is that it also implements the permanent wounding system for the troops, meaning that sometimes your troops might be wounded and you'll notice that they're not healing at all, and it's because they will only heal completely once you give them an augmentation. So you really have to know this, otherwise your troops will be permanently disabled. As for the cosmetic side of the mod, when you do add augmentations, it gives you these specific limbs that look cybernetic-ish. They can look pretty cool if that's your thing, but if you don't like them, you can always go and customize and just give yourself a regular appearance. And then we have the gene mods, which also works pretty much the same way as it did in the first game. You can just take your soldiers to the infirmary, and then you have multiple options for modifying their biology. Now, of course, the one thing from the first XCOM that they also brought in this mod, the one thing that I cannot live without anymore, is the secondary heart gene modification. Because what this gene does, effectively, is prevent your soldiers from just dying. It will instead cause them to pass out and bleed out. Although in this mod, it's more of a double-edged sword kind of thing, because while it guarantees your soldiers won't die right away, they will still regain consciousness without having to be stabilized, meaning that they can still be attacked again on the next turn and then they're already on the verge of death. In the first game, if a soldier was bleeding out because of that modification, they could be stabilized, but as they are stabilized, they will also remain unconscious, which can actually be a good thing because they're on the verge of death and the aliens just won't pay them any mind. So it's still a pretty good gene mod in XCOM 2, but you still gotta be careful with it. But all in all, with augmentations and gene mods, not only you're bringing back those features from the first XCOM game, but it really gives your soldiers way more versatility, it gives them more options, and it can overall be extremely useful. Another big mod that I've come to really enjoy at this point is Mechatronic Warfare. As I've said in my soldier classes tier list, the mech troop in XCOM 2 just doesn't work all that effectively, the spark isn't that great, but what Mechatronic Warfare does essentially is it revamps the entire skill tree for the spark, and as such I found the mod to be a lot more enjoyable that way. If anything, I've used the mod for so long that I don't even remember what the original skill tree for the spark looks like. But one of the skills I do enjoy is one that allows you to punch any enemy that comes within range, similar to Blade Storm for the Ranger, and one of the skills increases the damage and range of the equipped powered weapons, so the power Shredder becomes extremely deadly in the hands of the spark. But what I really like about this mod is that it gives you the option to rebuild the sparks that were destroyed in battle and retain all of the skills. Effectively, if your spark is killed in battle, you can go to the proving ground and you now have the option to rebuild the entire spark. They will lose some of their stats, as in they will lose the number of missions that they were deployed on, but they will keep their kill count and you'll get to retrain all of their skills, effectively just bringing it back to life. So if you were on an extremely challenging campaign and you just wanted to replace your entire squads with spark units, with that mod it would be extremely easy to just have a whole bunch of them, and no matter what happens to them you can always bring them back later. But all in all, the Mechatronic Warfare mod makes the spark unit a lot more useful. I've also said in my soldier class tier list that one of my favorite units is the Templar, but I failed to mention that the reason for that is because I have two mods specifically aimed for the Templar that can drastically change how it plays. And the first one is Supreme Focus, and what this mod does essentially is add a new bar of focus to the Templar, bringing it from 3 focus to 4, which proportionally increases the damage output of their attacks as well as the damage of the psionic storms. This extra focus point makes all the difference in the world. Enemies that couldn't be killed in a single hit can now be killed in a single hit, and the psionic storm is practically capable of destroying every single unit in range. So all in all, this is the mod that makes the Templar ridiculously powerful all by itself. But another mod I also like having is Templar Reflect on Parry, which gives the Templar the ability to reflect the damage when it's engaged in parry. In the base game, the Templar can reflect damage, but not when it's ordered to parry. In this mod, it still gives the ability, even if they're supposed to parry, they might just revert the damage altogether, and whenever it happens, it's always satisfying, so you might as well just get the mod just to give yourself that extra chance. In terms of improving the classes, that's about as far as I take it. That's not to say there's not other mods you can use. There's a lot of mods, for example, that bring in new items, but for that I only have one specific mod in mind, the last mod in this video, and it's the beam grenade launcher. Once again, we're taking direct inspiration from the first game here, because in the first game, the heavy class was the class with the rocket launcher, and the last grenade launcher you could unlock in the game was one that allowed you to fire projectiles that would navigate around obstacles to get straight to the target. And there is no such weapon in base XCOM 2, which is frustrating. But that's exactly what the beam grenade launcher is. It's like the final upgrade for the grenade launcher, and what it does is it allows you to navigate the grenade around to make shots that you would not normally be able to make. The only caveat of this mod is that it's kind of difficult to research and expensive to upgrade, but once you have it, you have it, even if it's more something you get in the mid to late game. But all in all, this makes the Grenadier a lot more effective with its grenade launcher, so you can't complain. But with all of these mods, from the ability to have more than one hero for each class, to having 8 soldiers per mission, to being able to unlock all of the skills without having to pick one or the other, to the cybernetics and the gene mods, these are the mods I used to really turn my squad into the most devastating squad that it can possibly be. This is why I'm able to win missions even though I use the overwhelming enemy pods and the double pod count in my campaign. My squad is always outnumbered, but never outmatched. But like I said, I'm sure there are a lot of other mods that change the XCOM classes. Not to mention, there are also tons of cosmetic mods that are aimed just to change their appearance, and you can see some of them in my footage. I might make a video on the cosmetic mods alone, but if you have other mods that alter the soldiers that you think I should really check out, then please let me know, because as I've said at the beginning, they could be featured in future videos. In the meantime, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.